Virginia, Georgia Tech setting basketball back in the 8-9 game of the ACC tournament. I kid. Actually, I'm sure it's a fine basketball game. Georgia Tech leads it 35-33. We are 14 and a half to go in the second half. Winner of this game gets crushed by Duke tomorrow, also at noon. Chip Patterson joins us every Wednesday. Here he is, without the benefit of video. Breaks my heart. But he joins us on the Adam Gold Show. You're locked into Virginia, Georgia Tech, are you not?
I'm locked into it all, Adam, because we actually, on Thursday and Friday, are going to be having conference tournament sweats live stream 3:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. from here in South Florida in the sauna. If you go over to the Sportsline YouTube channel, you can watch us be able to constantly be firing off live bets, live analysis. And so, yeah, I mean, all of the live action is what is it, Hubert Davis? It's live action down here. So, yeah, I'm dialed into it.
Wait a second. Please tell me that you're actually going to be in a sauna.
Listen, with the intensity that's going to be inside that room, they cannot climate control it as intense as it's going to get from 3:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. on the Sportsline YouTube channel. Because
if it's going to be a sauna, I am going to watch all 2 hours. Chip Patterson is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. I was listening to a conversation about what North Carolina has to do, and I'm not asking you to put on your Jerry Palm hat here.
You know better than that.
I know, exactly. It just seems to me that even if it's over Duke, I just don't think one game is going to be enough. I think they've got to win 4. No?
I don't. And I honestly think there is even a path that exists for win against Notre Dame, win against Wake Forest, lose to Duke, and still find yourself as the very last team in the NCAA tournament playing out in Dayton. Now, some of that is going to start later today, because what you would basically need is you would need one-and-done showing from Ohio State, a one-and-done showing from Baylor, a one-and-done showing from Xavier. If all of these other teams fail to do anything, and then you are able to string together a couple of wins, then yeah, it is possible that the selection committee, in a process that is subjective, could end up looking at all of these flawed resumes and decide that North Carolina, with not a lot bad outside of the Stanford home loss, does deserve a crack at it. Again, there's nothing that is glorious, and they're not going to hang a banner in the Smith Center about the NCAA tournament appearance in the first 4. But, yeah, I think that a win against Duke does put them over the edge because it separates them from these other tournament teams. Oh, West Virginia, if they were to go one and done and lose to Colorado, that's another one. But, again, North Carolina, you beat Notre Dame, you beat Wake Forest, and then if all the chaos has fallen apart around you, there may still be a path to end up being the last team in the tournament. I would just recommend that you just try to avoid a 3-game sweep against the Blue Devils, and definitely avoid losing to a Notre Dame team that outplayed you and nearly beat you on the final possession of the game earlier this year.
Should have won the game. It was Notre Dame refused to win that game. Doesn't even matter. Carolina won it. That's good. Chip Patterson is here on the Adam Gold Show. I want to make this very clear. I want North Carolina to be in the field. I believe they're good enough to be in the field. If you were asking me, is North Carolina good enough to be an NCAA tournament team, I would say absolutely they are. Do they deserve it is another matter. They can't prove that they belong in because they didn't win any of these games. They won one game against team in the field. Here's my argument in favor of Xavier, and again, I want North Carolina to be in. Xavier's won at least 3, maybe 4 games against teams that will be in the field, which is something North Carolina can't say, even if they beat Notre Dame today, even if they beat Wake Forest tomorrow. They just beat Creighton. They're going to be in. They beat Connecticut. They're going to be in. They beat Marquette. They're going to be in. And one of those wins was away from home. So I like these teams, while they're all flawed, they have all accomplished more than UNC. And again, I am here for North Carolina getting in any way they can get in. I just think that the draw fell poorly for them. If they could have gotten a game against SMU in a 4-5 game, or a game against Louisville or Clemson or both before Duke, and won those games, I think that would matter. But they're going to have played, if they played Duke, I think they would have played 8 games against teams that are seeded either 1 or 2 in the NCAA tournament. And they're not going to win any of those. And that's unfair to them because they played a better schedule than basically everybody in this field. To me, that would be the argument, is that, man, why did you do that? They played tight with Florida, right? They played overtime or double overtime with Michigan State. What was it? They had been in these games. They just didn't win any of them. But again, I hope they get in. I have a hard time making an argument for them. Let me ask you one quick thing. Chip Patterson is joining us here. We had the NIL hearing the other day, and I don't want to get into the nitty gritty, but I've said this steadfastly about this entire issue. The worst group of people in the world to set policy, to hold hearings, are the people on Capitol Hill who say things like this. It was a Chris McIntosh, who's the AD at Wisconsin, who was apparently a football player at one point, argued against an employee model in college, and he referred to when he was cut from the NFL or fired for being injured. He talked about that issue. Does he understand that he was playing in a system that had a collective bargaining agreement? Like, why don't they understand their own industry? And why doesn't anybody, and I guess the point is, why doesn't anybody in Capitol Hill understand this industry? And maybe that's why the NCAA keeps going back to them.
So I cannot explain the merits of the argument as well as I can propose what I think that this plays out, or the way that some believe or are hoping this plays out, because there is, with the way that things went in November, there is a belief that something that is not going to be very pro-employee, that is not going to be very pro-player,
right,
can get pushed forward right now. That whether it's antitrust exemptions, whether it's an NIL bill, whether it's some sort of superseding federal law, I just think that there's a sense within a certain camp of college sports administrators that now's the time to be able to push it forward. And so in the same way that, people who are big fans of deregulation think that this is green light go time, I think that those who are motivated to continue to strip power away from, college athletes and put a cap on their earning ability, I think that they think that now's the time to do it. And so what they say, the context of their quotes in these hearings just is kind of filler to try to reach what they hope is the end goal. And the end goal is some sort of salary cap, whether it's per player or whether it's per team or per school, something that would be viewed by a judge as anti-competitive, some kind of antitrust exemption. All of these things are sort of the motivating factors for all of the stuff that's happening on Capitol Hill regarding college sports right now. And I find myself kind of a little bit turned off by trying to follow it all. Yeah. But I understand why it is happening this way.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, because it does appear that now is the time to take advantage of people. I think that is exactly what is going on. All right, let me get to a couple of football things, and then I want picks from you today.
Okay.
I mean, just straight up, we got basketball. Got Carolina, Notre Dame coming up. Do you have a sense of where UNC football is right now in terms of recruiting? Their coaching staff is all set. Do you have a sense of where North Carolina is in terms of a roster?
Well, I mean, they've got to put names and numbers on the jerseys for us to figure it out.
No,
right?
They're going to play without names and numbers this year.
Right. Yeah. No, I loved. I'm appreciative of the efforts that are being done, by those who cover the team who are there, because you're seeing the video of spring practice and the parts that the media is allowed to take, and I just hear the commentary in the background. Like I think I heard Shelby Swanson's voice. Like, okay, that's JJ. Okay, that like at least they are so dialed in that they are going to be able to identify who these players are, to get a sense of how the position groups are stacking up. We obviously saw Max Johnson throwing on the sideline, though he will be limited as he continues to recover from breaking his leg at the very beginning of last season.
Right.
I think that from a roster perspective, this is a North Carolina football team that has enough, and this is at the top end, they have enough to be able to be competitive in almost every single game on their schedule. Where they are lacking is in two areas. They are lacking the competitive depth to be able to sustain that level through multiple injuries. It is very, very much I like your 22, but when we start to get to the backups in a couple of these position groups, that's where I've got some questions. And then number two, not being on the same level as the best teams on their schedule. Clemson Tigers are the ones you're going to point to. There's so much uncertainty among the rest of the ACC. I can't say who the best is going to be on their schedule behind Clemson if we were to rank the opponents. Mm-hmm. But I feel more confident in 3, 4, 5, maybe even a half dozen ACC teams in terms of the overall roster talent and roster depth. And so, what do I have a handle on from North Carolina? North Carolina should be a bowl team. North Carolina should be, somewhere in that 6, 7, 8 spot in the ACC, which historically is making a bowl game. You might be playing in the Fenway Bowl again, but it is a group where I think the expectation should be a postseason appearance, and where anything less than that would be a big-time disappointment, especially with Bill Belichick as your head coach.
And by the way, speaking of Bill Belichick, and we had referenced the political climate, I guess, earlier. According to a piece I read from Tom Fornelli, your friend, Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, very much involved in Belichick eventually ending up at North Carolina. All right, which ACC teams are poised to improve, dramatically or otherwise, this upcoming season, sir?
Florida State.
Well, yes, they should. Gosh, they were so bad. Anything would be an improvement.
Yeah, you asked. I was like,
right?
Dramatically or otherwise, that would be the former and not the latter. I'm expecting dramatic improvement from the first ever 17th place team in ACC football history.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. I am
poetry,
expecting
though.
I am expecting that we are going to see a lot of status quo because of the era that we are in. The ACC teams that are spending, evaluating, the ones that stand out to me are your SMU and your Louisville, right? These are teams that have mostly been built with the portal, with good head coaches who have had success, who have lost some guys, but also gone right back to the portal to continue to spend, to continue to reload. My expectation is that Louisville and SMU, the ACC runner-up from each of the last 2 years, are going to be holding some of those positions. What I don't see, and the real big question, is whether we're going to see a step forward from Virginia Tech, which absolutely failed to take the step forward that many thought might be coming in the 2024 season. What we don't know is if we're going to get, anyone else from, like your Georgia Tech, a team that's going to bring back a lot. They always have a really difficult schedule, kind of feel like they're destined for that sort of 7-8 win mark with both Haynes King and the rookie from this past year, both back at quarterback and some other key players, are they going to be able to take a step forward, maybe be a little bit of a dark horse? I mean, I don't think Jake Dickert is going to have Wake Forest knocking on the door of anything huge this past season. I think Duke might actually take a step back from a great debut for Manny Diaz. I'm not expecting NC State to be able to level up and crack that top crew. I mean, it is very much the programs in the ACC that had their act together going into last year, for the most part, have their act together again, and it's created a little bit of a caste system in the conference where breaking through and jumping up a level is going to take some real spending, some real investment, and an infusion of talent. And I don't know if there's one ACC team that stands out as one that has done that this offseason.
Chip Patterson, CBSSports.com Cover 3 podcast moderator. You'll be on a live stream, or is it CBS Sports HQ?
Well, all right. So let's see. Here's what we've got so far today. So today we were already on from 11 to 12 CBS Sports HQ, 12:40 CBS Sports HQ, be on 3:35 CBS Sports HQ, CBS Sports Network at 4:50, CBS Sports Network at 5:20, CBS Sports HQ at 6. So all that's either HQ or CBS Sports Network.
Wow.
Something similar tomorrow. I know we'll also have John Henson joining me in studio for the 11 o'clock hour. But it'll just be like wall-to-wall reaction coverage on CBS Sports HQ, some CBS Sports Network in the afternoon. But then, yes, the live stream, which will be on YouTube from 3:30 to 5:30 on the Sportsline YouTube channel. That is CBS Sports' gambling outfit. So it will be a lot of parlays, spreads, live bets, totals, all the sicko stuff. If you're into that kind of thing, come and join us on the Sportsline YouTube channel.
All right, give me I have a couple more basketball things, then we'll let Chip Patterson go. North Carolina, Notre Dame. Tarheels by, well, I haven't even seen a line. My inclination is I don't care what it is, give it.
Yeah, and, I mean, Notre Dame winning on a free throw in a –
what a gift.
This ACC tournament's setting basketball back. You know, if you were, it was what, the double overtime game between two teams that couldn't hit a three-pointer.
Yeah.
A 55-54 game that was decided on a free throw with 0.5 seconds left. I mean, it's
awful.
It's all been pretty ugly. So, I'm expecting that we'll have a little bit more juice when the Tar Heels take the floor with hopefully an offensive performance that resembles what they've shown with better three-point shooting and most importantly, better offensive rebounding. I'd lay the starchy number. So at 6.5, 7.5, I think they can win that game by double digits. Oh,
I think they have to win that. I think they have to cruise. They at least have to dominate teams that they should beat handily. And Notre Dame is a team they should dominate, especially the way they have played. I still believe they need more than just a win over Duke. I have a hard time believing they get in without beating Duke altogether. They've needed another, I hate to say it, another quad one win. Oklahoma, Georgia is an interesting game tonight. I think both teams can make very strong arguments to be in regardless, but they are also both in somewhat shaky ground because, unfortunately, the SEC is loaded and there's a lot of good teams with bad records.
I'm going to take Oklahoma plus the 3.5. Georgia did what it needed to do, coming down the stretch to put itself in a pretty good position. But I actually think that Porter Moser's Sooners, which, remember, started really good in non-conference play, got absolutely buried at the beginning of the SEC schedule, but have found their footing a little bit to at least have a chance. I like them plus the 3.5 there against the Bulldogs.
All right. One final basketball thing, and then I'm going to ask you for one more pick, and then we'll go. How is it possible? Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper, two of the best players coming out of high school, both went to Rutgers. Rutgers is bad. I only bring that up because John Shire did not get ACC Coach of the Year because I know he's got a great team and he's got Cooper Flagg. And I know Pat Kelsey, I guess Louisville surprised people, although whatever, because they were so bad last year that I know they have an entirely new roster of players in a very, very weak ACC. I know they went 18-2, but I'm not like head over heels over the moon about it. Who would you have voted for? Because I voted for Shire.
Oh,
I like Kelsey. I think Kelsey did a great job.
yeah, and Kelsey brings it, like, rebooted that roster, right? Like he
totally overturned.
Totally wholesale. You're bringing in like some of your guys from the mid-major level. You're able to pick up Chucky Hepburn and be able to put him in as such a key piece. I don't have as much Shire outrage because I think Kelsey was a good pick. And
he's deserving, right? I agree that he is deserving. I am just kind of amazed. It just seems like we're not giving credit for, like, getting Duke to play at the level that Duke has played at is hard because they know going into every game that they should win comfortably, and they have exceeded that. But it's almost like you couldn't set the line low enough for Iowa to not still play under in football. Right?
Like you couldn't set the line high enough for Duke to not cover.
Exactly. You just couldn't do it. And I don't think I think Duke is going to lay waste to the competition in Charlotte anyway. Who's winning the Players Championship, Chip?
Ludwig. Everybody thinks that you don't need that like Scotty Scheffler said, you cannot play robot golf at Sawgrass. The dirty secret about Ludwig is while everything seems like it's robotic, he actually does have some gamer to him. So give me Ludwig. It is players who are in form who win. There's not one style that is better than anything else. It's just who's playing good right now. It's what makes it such a great test of golf. I'll take over to win it.
I love it. Chip Patterson, enjoy all of your hits on CBS Sports HQ and CBS Sports Network, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, sounds good. Y'all be well.